Hello. 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 I think I'm not sure you can hear me. Okay, it should work now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry for being late.
All right.
I was like, إن شاء الله نوصل قبله إن شاء الله نوصل قبله. I was out myself. Okay.
Yeah, no, I arrived earlier this time.
Okay, so sorry.
No problem. I think we have enough to cover at least what's left of yesterday's lesson. I don't know if you've had time and if you've checked
Yeah, I've checked.
Yeah, what did I send you?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great.
Hello. Hello. I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm just looking for the file I sent you. It's I think it's this one. Did I send you the one about lexical resources? The vocabulary one? I don't think that one. Or was it that one? Do you remember the one I sent you? Hello. Hello. I think you can't hear me.
Send me to. Damn it. Hello?
Yeah, I sent you two. Yes. Yeah, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now. Okay, I'll just put it here. Just a minute. All right. Oh yeah, you sent me both. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, you sent me the IELTS writing band description, task 2. And something else. I think maybe you wrote it.
Planning your essay.
Yeah.
Writing your essay, right?
Yeah. Just a minute, I want to check it on my telephone.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah. Idea generation, vocabulary, right?
I sent you vocabulary. How to boost your lexical resources. Why is it important? Is that the one?
I'm looking for it here in the phone. Just a minute. How to plan your.
Yeah, the planning part. That's it. Yeah, that's the only one I sent you, other than the descriptors, right?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about planning, and this is I think this is an often neglected part of. Let me share it with you. It's a neglected part of the test, the planning part. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about planning. Why should we plan? What's the point of planning? Or is it just maybe something that you can skip a little bit, like skimming in reading? Is it the same thing, or do we actually have to plan? So let's talk a little bit about this. Have you read this? Did you get a chance to read the whole thing?
Quickly.
All right, no problem. We can talk a little bit about this. So the idea is, here they're telling you, it says, with planning, it actually sounds counterintuitive, right? Because if you think, if you're going to plan, what time are you going to, when are you going to write? If you're basically planning to write and not actually writing, right? You might think to yourself, I'm just going to waste more time. There's no time to think, I need to just write. But this analogy is very interesting. The one about student A, if you see what he does, write, think, write, delete, write, think, delete, write. Yeah, and the other one is just think and write. So this means you do need to have a few rough, good, you do need to have some kind of strategy, and this comes from practice. But the thing is, it's impossible to just sit and write directly without thinking. It doesn't. Writing doesn't work like this. Unless you have the thought ready, it's impossible to just write directly. And this is what they're telling you here in this little article. I think this was written by Christopher Pell, I think. I don't remember who wrote this, but the idea is you need to think about what you're going to write, and this thinking shouldn't be random. It shouldn't be done in a chaotic way. It needs to be in a very precise manner, and this is what this little article is about. So they're trying to tell you how to plan in a time effective way, in a way to save yourself time and to get the best ideas you can possibly get. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is, here we have the four stages of planning. Of course, here in this paragraph, they're telling you why it's impossible to just write directly. It's not even your first language. So imagine writing something in Arabic. You'll still need to think about what you write. So imagine this is in English. Yeah, so it won't just happen just like that. So it needs some planning. Okay, so how do we plan in a good way, or in a effective way? So the first thing you need to do, let's check the 4 steps. So here we have 4 stages. You need to analyze the question. You need to be able to generate the idea. This is also known as brainstorming, coming up with ideas. Then, of course, the structure of the text, and then finally the vocab, the words themselves. Okay, so you can see that the vocab, the words themselves, this is the last part of your planning. So the first thing you need to do is really understand what the question wants. What do they want? What are they? What are they asking? And this is a very, very important part, and you can already see here. Let's highlight this part. So they're telling you here, they're showing you the difference between a band score 5 here. You see this? Yesterday we talked briefly about this, maybe not in so much detail. So they're telling you, did you know that you can't get above band 5 score if you don't address all the parts of the question because of low task achievement? Remember when we were talking about the first point in TA, in task achievement for 7, is that it covers all the parts of the question.
All the parts of the task, yeah.
So they're telling you here, you won't get more than 5 if you don't cover all the parts. Do you see the huge difference between a 7 and a 5? Just this critical error can end up dropping the band score for task achievement for TA, dropping it to 5. And remember yesterday when I told you that 5.5 is probably the most common band score most untrained IELTS candidates get. And if you have any friends who are who probably score around 6.5 and 7 in listening, and
I've got friends with who scored 9 and 8. I just don't want to be like them, maybe.
They scored 9 and 8 in speaking and listening.
Yeah, writing as well. I have one friend, she's in the UK currently right now, so she's really a smart girl, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of an exception to the rule, because for untrained IELTS candidates, they very rarely even get a 6. Even when their English is okay, even when they manage to get a 7 or a 7.5 in speaking and listening. Some of them, I've had a student who managed to get even 8 in reading, and in speaking I think maybe he got 7, but in writing it was 5, because he didn't train specifically for writing. Writing is, like I said last time, is a bit of a different story, so it needs. There are a few things you need to keep in mind. So here they're telling you right at the start that if you don't cover all the parts necessary in the question to cover, you simply won't get more than 5 in task achievement. Okay, now here are some of the common problems, or some of the reasons why students don't get a good band score here, a good score in TA, in task achievement. So they fail to actually read the question. This is, if I tell you, if I had $1 for every time I told a student to read the question, I'd be a billionaire by now. And I don't mean it figuratively, I mean it literally, because you'd be amazed at how much students just don't read the questions. They just go right to they don't read what the task wants. They jump to answering it, right? Because they're under stress. They think they've got it. They think they know what it's about, and they skip on sometimes things which could be very easily avoided. So this is. It sounds stupid, but it's as common as it says here. So some students just don't read the questions, okay? Writing about the topic generally and not answering specific questions. This is a very interesting point. And of course, without it, you'll never get a 7. We'll talk a little bit more about this. The third point, it says here, your inability to recognize what the type of question being asked and misunderstanding the question. Okay, so here, the last 2 points, it's more of an issue of sort of misunderstanding or failure to cover the task properly, rather than just forgetting about it, a bit like the first 2 points or the first point. Now the second point is here, this is a very, very common issue, the idea of answering a question generally and not specifically. It's like if the question is asking you about car tires, okay, and then you start talking about all kinds of tires. You talk about tires used on airplanes, you talk about tractor tires, then you talk about bicycle tires, and they don't want you to speak about tires in general. They want you to speak about car tires used on vehicles, on cars, on small vehicles. You get the idea? They're very specific. Yeah, they want something specific. Don't generalize. You can generalize when you're speaking, and this is maybe why people generalize, because this is sort of an automatic thing we do. When we speak, we generalize, but in writing, they don't want you to generalize. They want you to cover the question that's being asked. This is very important. Now here, there are a couple of examples, I think here. Yeah, let me show you the examples. All right, so here it says there are a few steps you can do to help you understand the question and analyze it effectively, okay? So here, let's take these 3 very interesting and very important steps. So the first thing is looking for topic words, looking for micro topic words, and then instruction words. Let's understand what they mean by each one. Let's take a look at the question, okay? So here the question says, one of the consequences of improved medical care is that people are living longer and life expectancy is increasing. Do you think the advantages of this outweighs the disadvantages? Okay, so automatically people who read this question without paying much attention will think, okay, so better medical care is, okay, so people are living longer. Yes, I agree. People are living longer because of improved medical care. And they'll start talking about medical care, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you had done this, you'd have completely missed the point of the question. That's not what they want. The key words here is improved medical care. This is the first thing. This is our general topic. They don't want you to talk about medical care. It's already stated that it has improved. They don't want you to tell us the story of how it improved or how life expectancy changed or how it has increased since the 19th century. They don't want all of that. This is a statement that's already in the question. It's a given. Mm-hmm. They don't want you to talk about this. Now, this is what we shouldn't talk about. Now, a common mistake is to highlight the main keywords or main topic and write about this very generally. If you do this, you have not answered the question. This is the mistake of not answering the question in a specific way. Now, let's dive in a little deeper into the question. So it says here, we need to think about things more specifically and look for what we call micro keywords, okay? So what are the micro keywords in this question? You can see here living longer, because this is a result of the given, which is improved medical care. So living longer is one thing. Life expectancy is increasing. All right. Mm-hmm. We therefore need to write about these and how medical care has increased life expectancy, but you shouldn't write a general essay about this. So now we have our micro keywords. We sort of zoomed in on the parts we are going to talk about. We still don't know how we're going to talk about them. We still don't know what aspect should we cover. Should we talk about their their genesis, how they started these things. What should we talk about? Now, the next part after the micro keywords is the instruction words, okay? So the instruction is, do you think the advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so it's an opinion question, okay? So it needs a position. So you're going to decide, is living longer a good thing or not? Do you get the idea? And
yeah.
Okay, so
Is
sorry.
yeah.
So
is it an advantage? Yeah.
Yeah. What are the advantages here? The idea is, do you think the advantages are more that people are living longer? Do you think the advantages of this is it a good thing that people are living longer, or is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing that our life expectancies are increasing, or is it do you think it's not a good thing? So here you need to balance. But at the beginning, like I said, it's a very good idea to choose one side or the other. So it's better to think that the advantages of this are more, and you think, okay, this is a good thing, and you'll start to explain why you think it's a good thing. Why is not improved medical care, sorry. Why is living longer and a longer life expectancy, why is it a good thing? So you need to state the reasons for this. And this is where your brainstorming, the second part of the planning, remember the 3 steps of planning. Let's very quickly go back. Question analysis, idea generation, structure, vocabulary. So now we analyze the question. We know that they don't want us to talk about improved medical care. They don't want us to talk about health care. They want us to talk about, do we think that the fact that people are living longer as a result of this improved medical care, is this a good thing or not? What are the advantages? Do you think the advantages are more than the disadvantages? Like I said, it's an opinion question. All right. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, interrupt. So what if I found out that, like, I disagree? So do you think I should write about the disadvantages, or should I write about both, or?
You should write about the disadvantages only, in my opinion.
Only.
Only.
Okay.
And even if you mention one, just mention it for the sake of using a contrast connecting word. Like starting, for example, although people live longer nowadays and get to see their grandchildren, and in some cases even the children of their grandchildren, I think this is a problem that's costing the earth resources and putting a lot of pressure on the environment. As we all know, the population of the earth is now approaching 8 billion people, and there's no resources left, no renewable resources that can sustain all these people. So I just use this as a contrast. So I can start it as a contrast. Like, yes, I admit there might be this little tiny benefit or this little tiny advantage, but I then overwhelm them with the opposite.
Concentrate on the disadvantage.
Yes, because your point has to go back. It has to refer to your position. It has to refer to your position, because in the introduction, when we get to the introduction, your introduction should state clearly where you stand in this issue. Are you with it? Do you think there are more advantages, or do you think there are more disadvantages of this increasing life expectancy? All right. So here they're telling you you have to decide which side. This is exactly what I was saying. You have to decide which side is stronger, because that's the one you will talk about in detail. Okay. If you choose advantages, then you'll have to say why. Then you'll have to say why these are much stronger than the advantages, and of course and why the disadvantages are not so strong, and vice versa. Okay. It says here, if you just discuss the advantages, this is also a very interesting part. If you only discuss the advantages, you will not answer the question clearly. Okay. All right, so there is a point here that we missed. We've already missed a point. You see how easy things are to mess up here. So actually in this question, you should mention disadvantages. But my point about contrast wasn't wrong, but maybe you need to emphasize it a little more. You need to emphasize why the advantages are more, or why the disadvantages are more. So you might mention the opposite team, the opposite side, but only mention it, like I said, in contrast. You need to just use them to strengthen your position. So you can say like, however, for example, mention one of the, let's say your position, for example, let's do a case here. Let's say our position is, we are on the, we believe yes, more advantages. Okay, let's say more, there are more advantages. So you could start one of your the paragraphs of the body, because the body has two paragraphs. So you can start this one of the paragraphs by saying, it is a well-known fact that, let's think of a disadvantage of increased life expectancy. For example, increased geriatric diseases, increased diseases
on the hospital, diseases for elderly.
Increased rates of Alzheimer's, dementia, high blood pressure, cancers, which are more common in the elderly. So you can talk about this. So you can say, it is a well-known fact, or it is indisputable that an increased life expectancy, or the fact that people live longer nowadays compared to 100 years ago or 150 years ago, has increased the overall rates of cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, and other age-related diseases, full stop. However, the advantages, you shouldn't say however the advantages outweigh, you could say, however, due to the improving medical care and the technological breakthroughs, the elderly today have a much higher quality of life compared to the elderly 150 years ago. For example, the latest scientific discoveries of antihypertensive treatments, and also breakthrough cardiac surgery has enabled patients to live well into their 90s and 100s with minimal problems compared to their contemporaries 100 years ago, something like this. So I start with,
Wow.
I give them the advantage.
Mashallah. I can get...
This is just practice. With some practice, you can do something like this. I'm thinking, because I'm thinking,
okay.
I'm putting myself in the examiner's shoes. That's why the descriptors thing we did last night, it's crucial. You know what they want. You need to know what they want. You need to cater your writing to the criteria. And this is, like I said, this is a common error. Many people think they just want to write. They think of it as expression, that you're writing, you're expressing an opinion, and that's it. Why did I get 5? Why did I get 5.5? I got 7 in speaking. I got 7.5 in reading. This is unfair, right? And they're stuck in this loop of 5.6, 5.6, 5.6. Of course, like I said, this is maybe not for students in your level. This is more common for students in the intermediate, upper intermediate range. They suffer from this problem because their other part of their language is really good. They don't have any problems with speaking and listening. Their oral skills are usually excellent, and they've traveled extensively abroad, and they have friends from all over the world, and they're the one who has the best English in their group of friends, and then they get 5.5 in writing. I understand their frustration, but it is because of these little details. It's a very detailed thing, the IELTS writing, and you need to be detailed, and you need to know what they want. So in this question, we almost made the mistake of skipping the disadvantages. I mean, skipping the opposite team, not emphasizing it enough. And this would have been a problem. We need to emphasize even the opposite team, because this is, we're using him, we're sort of using him or using them to as a bad example. We're using them to attack their position in another way. So we're telling them, yes, you have that, but look at what we have. It's a bit like this. There's an advertising kind of. I don't know if you're interested in advertising and marketing. I like advertising and marketing, and there's lots of marketing here. You're just marketing with ideas. You're convincing the reader of your opinion. So it's a bit like this. So here in this little section, we understood the difference between the mistake of being too general, of not knowing the difference between general keywords. Here, let's go back a little bit, and the topic keywords and the micro keyword. The micro keyword is where you need to talk. So you have the topic word, you have the micro topic word, and then the instruction. The topic word is just the general theme of the question, which is improved medical care, right? And living longer. But sorry, living longer and life expectancy. This is the micro topic word. This is your field of play. This is where you need to talk. And of course, you need to talk based on the question. What do they want you to talk about? Okay. So this is just an example. I think there is okay, because I'm looking for another sheet. I want to show you an example of let me show you this. There's an example of an article where a student wrote something. The difference between a band 5 and a band 7, I think. Let's see this. No, not this. This is grammatical range and accuracy. No, this is another topic. Okay, never mind. We'll come back to this. There is an example, but I think the example was more. The focus was more on vocab. The difference between good vocab range and the descriptor they were discussing in the example I'm telling you about. It was lexical resources, not TA. Not task achievement.
Okay.
Anyways, let's move on. So in summary, we understood the idea, the difference between the general topic or the topic keyword, the micro keyword or the specific topic you need to cover in your question, and then the instructions, what you need to do. Now, let's say we understood all this, and now from this question, we understood that we need to cover the issue of increased life expectancy. This is our focus, okay? And then we need to say, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so now we know where we are. We know our position. Let's say our position is yes, the advantages are more. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Let's say this is our position. Now we need to do the second part, which is idea generation or brainstorming. This is another crucial problem. This skill, of course, needs a little bit of you need to have some imagination to do this. Okay, so here it says okay, thinking of as many relevant ideas as possible. Okay, so why is probably the easiest way to start your brainstorming. Remember, we chose advantages outweigh disadvantages. Why do they outweigh? Okay, let me see if you can do this. Think of reasons why an increased life expectancy is better. You tell me.
Oh, okay.
Give me 2 reasons and I'll add 2.
Well, you can travel more, do more in life.
Okay. That's not bad.
More
life experience. Another one, quickly.
You already mentioned seeing your grandchildren, so that's not included. I can't think of anything else.
because you need at least two nice, fat and juicy main ideas to fill out a paragraph with. You get the idea? This travel and experience, we can call it the experience idea. This is a nice fat main idea because you can squeeze it, you can milk it, you can make a good paragraph out of it. You can talk about travel, talk about hobbies, talk about skills, talk about personal development, finishing books, learning languages. Do you understand? It's a good one. There's lots to fill. You can make a good paragraph out of it. So this is one. So we've solved half of
I don't know.
the
See what the future looks like. Future technology.
Good.
Why
Yes.
would want to live so much?
This you could think of an easier one, which is the social dimension.
I'm running out.
Living to see your grandchildren, the children of your grandchildren, and
yeah, you already mentioned that.
No, not in the first idea, because in the first idea it was more personal than social. I didn't express the social one. So here, because when you talk about the social one, here you can add the idea of transmitting crucial knowledge, or maybe think about endangered cultures with endangered languages where people, because they die from disease or whatever, they can't teach the newer generations a certain language or a certain culture. So this can help preserve endangered cultures, like people living in the Amazon or people living in islands or whatever. If they get a chance to live longer, maybe the rest of humanity won't lose these small minorities. Do you understand? This is another social dimension. It's different from the personal one you started, the experience and travel and whatnot. So now we have two rough ideas which can be fleshed out. You need to flesh out these ideas. All right. So this is the second part. This is your brainstorming. Now, if your idea, okay, here they gave us.
That takes time.
Sorry. What did you say?
The brainstorming thing takes time.
Yes, it takes time, but it needs some training. If you improve your imagination, you need to work on your imaginative skills. I think it needs a bit of imagination.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, it says we can simply think of two relevant ideas. The advantages are strong because people think it is good that their friends and family don't die quickly. Everyone is happier. Okay, here they're talked about happiness. Maybe it's a little too broad, but it's good. And that's the good thing about main ideas should be broad, actually, that there should, because here you can say why, how people who live longer become happier. And then maybe you can mix a little bit of both our ideas. So if you use happiness as a main idea, this means the two things we came up with can be used as supporting ideas. So you can say because they do all these things, they travel, they experience life, this will lead to their happiness, for example, being with their grandchildren, the grandchildren of their grandchildren, because if people live up to 150 or 200 years, they will catch up on the grandchildren of their grandchildren. Because now we can already easily find families that have 4 generations, where the kid has the grandparent of his parents still alive, right?
Yeah.
So this is another thing. Okay, the disadvantages here is the opposite team. There is more demand for food and resources, but this is a weak argument because technology can solve these problems. We now have 2 relevant ideas which we can move on to our next stage. So here, because like I said, the position of this person is like us. His position is, yes, the advantages are more. And here the disadvantage that he wants to use in order to sort of humiliate the opposite team, it's this one. Yes, yeah, we know there's more demand for food, yeah. But technology will solve it. There you go. Do you get the idea? So they can use a separate paragraph for just to mention the disadvantage. So the main idea of the second paragraph could be this disadvantage, but in the support it could be why this disadvantage doesn't stand, why the advantages outweigh it, because with genetic engineering and crop technology. We can increase the yield of the farms and produce more crops per hectare, and we have pest-resistant plants and new crops which withstand salinity, and you know, you need to be imaginative, and that's why non-fiction helps. That's why yesterday I told you need to start reading non-fiction, just general non-fiction stuff about random stuff about agriculture, random stuff about engineering, just sort of. You don't need to delve in too deep, but you need to have surface knowledge of other disciplines. This is the point, because it will come in handy in a test like IELTS. Okay. Our last two parts. The last part is because this part vocab, it's I think more related to lexical resources than task achievement. All right. So to talk about this in detail, we need to start talking about lexical resources, which we won't be able to do, unfortunately, today. But I think we can cover this point. Now, this structure is you could call it the universal structure of IELTS Task 2 writing. This is the most basic type of essay. You have the introduction, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. Here, the supporting paragraph is, they sometimes call it supporting paragraph, sometimes they call it body 1, body 2. Body 1, body 2, or supporting paragraph 1 and supporting paragraph 2. This is where you have your main idea and where you flesh it out and support it and explain it and give examples. The supporting paragraph 2 is where you have your second main idea, and again, you support it, you explain it, and you give examples, and then you conclude. So the introduction and the conclusion have a certain way of writing, and the same thing for body 1 and body 2. They have a certain way of writing, which is, like I said yesterday when I talked very briefly about paragraphs. You start with a main topic. This is where they call it topic sentence or main idea. The topic sentence, and everything in the paragraph refers to this topic sentence. This is how any good paragraph should be written. Okay. So during what's left of the course, we will learn how to write a good introduction. What are the parts of an introduction? Usually you have 2 parts, 2, 3, but 2 main ones. And the same thing here. You have 2 main ones, 2 main parts in the supporting paragraph, and the conclusion. To be honest, it's more of 1 part. You just rephrase or paraphrase the main ideas you used in the body 1, body 2 parts. So you just paraphrase the main ideas without the support. You just say them in another way. That's all. Okay. All right. So the structure I think is the least of your worries. To be honest, it's not a very big problem. But you have to keep in mind, if when you're writing your essay, if they're not clearly separated by a blank sentence in the real test, you are in deep trouble. You will not get more than 5.
You mean like between each paragraph there'll be like an empty line?
There has to be, because this indicates clearly. It indicates clearly to the examiner that you're done with the introduction and you've started with paragraph 1, and that you're done with 1 and you started with 2. Because when there's no space, the whole thing is considered 1 paragraph. You get the problem now.
Is that okay?
No, it's not okay. It's not allowed. It's not allowed.
No, I mean like leaving one line and the answer sheet empty.
It's not only allowed, it's necessary. Take a look at these paragraphs. What do you notice?
Yeah, there is space.
This is the system. This is how they write paragraphs in English. They always,
right, yeah. I know, I'm writing it right now with my my doctor, so like I am leaving spaces. I mean, I didn't think that was allowed in IELTS as well. I thought
you have to do this.
All the lines, yeah.
You have to use all the lines, but when you reach the end of your paragraph, blank, start again. So you use So this means you don't use line yes, line no, line yes, line no, line yes. This is what they don't want. They want you to use the lines regularly, and then when you finish with that paragraph, blank and start again regularly. Do you get the idea? So it should look packed in. I don't have a notebook with me, but this is very important. Yeah.
Thank you for telling me. I didn't know that actually. No one told me about that before.
Yeah, it's an important thing. You need to, because this is part of the formatting or the structure. So this is crucial to like I said, to let the examiner know where your first paragraph starts and where it ends. Because if you don't do that, the whole thing is together, and then you have a problem. They will consider it one paragraph with two main ideas, and that's problematic. You can't have one paragraph with two main ideas. So okay, so tomorrow hopefully we'll talk in more detail. We'll try to discuss more examples, and we'll try to cover the descriptors. Today we only covered the first descriptor, which is task analysis, task achievement, sorry. We talked about mainly TA, the first of the descriptors, task achievement. And in it we talked about planning.
I know you've got another session. Okay.
Yeah. So in our next session we'll talk about another part, and we'll learn a little more about things that are necessary in order to get a high score. Okay. All right then.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Bye. So I'll see you next time.
Yeah. Inshallah. Okay. Bye.